is enough. Enough is enough. Say, enough is enough.
Enough is enough.
Keep your eye on the south of America. Keep your eye on the south of America.
Multiple explosions and low-flying aircraft were seen in Caracas in the early hours of Saturday morning. Maduro's government immediately accused the US of an imperialist attack on civilian and military installations. US President Donald Trump posted on Truth Social that Maduro had been, along with his wife, captured and flown out of the country. He added that the operation was done in conjunction with US law enforcement. The apparent attack itself lasted less than 30 minutes. Trump said in his social media post that the strike was carried out successfully.
Young Hispanics shall suddenly rise up, for they shall say, look, the Lord has delivered us from wicked leader in Venezuela. And God says, look how I take these young people, and a new music arise.
Thanks to President Trump and the military of the United States of America, because thanks to them and to the power of them, we are free. Viva Venezuela Libre.
Seen my dad cry 3 times in my life. His dad dying, Fidel dying, and today. And I think it is just, it's the time to be here. It's historic.
A band of young people from Syria, Iran, and Afghanistan shall defy the beast of the East. They shall defy Islam. And they shall say, we will not be bashed down to a God that is dead.
Protests in Iran stretch into their 9th day and grow deadlier. Rights groups and state media claim protesters and security forces were killed, though they dispute how many died. A crater in currency, rolling blackouts, and water shortages in the capital, igniting anger. Iran's president admitted the regime is at fault and replaced the central bank governor. Israel's prime minister suggested the Iranian people could take their fate into their own hands.
If they start killing people like they have in the past, I think they're going to get hit very hard by the United States.
American President Donald Trump repeated his threat that the U.S. could get involved.
Welcome to Analysis. What a week as we begin the year of 2026. Not only have we seen the uprisings in Iran, but also what has happened in Venezuela. And so I've got Christy Desfontaine here with me, as usual, and we're going to have a look at some stuff my dad prophesied. Especially, we're going to start with Venezuela. But it's actually all connected, isn't it, Christy?
It really is, and just the fact that your dad said that the people would cry enough is enough. You know, and we're looking at Venezuela, Iran, however you want to look at it. We're seeing what happens when socialism, tyranny, and godlessness collide. And we have to know that as America, we have to interpret what's happening with these moments with prophetic truth, not with media spin. And that's why it's so important for us to look at the prophecies that your dad gave. And again, Donnie, you know, all those years ago, I know he didn't know what was happening from a geopolitical perspective. He didn't think about that. You know, the man's brain was full of music and the word and all these other things. He wasn't, you know, some big sort of historical, geographical savant. It really was God speaking to him, and I think we see this so clearly. And so we have to interpret this through a prophetic lens. We have to look at this from the perspective of what was God saying. And there's such a powerful word that I know we're about to go to where your dad specifically names Venezuela and the youth uprising. And I'm very excited for everybody to see this. And we are going to be covering this more in the partner segment after the broadcast. So make sure you stick with us for that. But let's go to this prophecy from April 14th of 2012 from Nashville, Tennessee. Kim was on fire this day.
The Spirit of God says, look at Korea, the miserable pig that has stood and defied the nations of the earth. And God says, you think I cannot dethrone you in North Korea? Keep your eye open, God says. Before the summer months you will say, look what's happening in North Korea. And this shall be a sign to you that I am causing leaders that have wicked intentions to be brought down. So, who will lead this nation? Who shall I place at the helm? God said, I've chosen myself. Yes, I've chosen myself. I, the Lord, will change the hearts of the people in this nation. They will be declaring, enough is enough. Enough is enough. Say, enough is enough.
Enough is enough.
Keep your eye on the south of America. Keep your eye on the south of America. God says how I'm going to reveal my light. Young people, young Cubans, young Spanish people, young Hispanics shall suddenly rise up. For they shall say, look, the Lord has delivered us from wicked leader in Venezuela. And God says, look how I take these young people and a new music arise, a new Latin music arise, comes forth, and this will infiltrate through the Middle Eastern music as well, and go right into Israel and America, and there shall be joyful sounds coming from the house of the Lord, says the Lord.
Wow, that is very hopeful in this moment where we're just on the cusp of what is going to happen, not only in Venezuela, which is, by the way, connected to Iran, and the way in which it is that, number one, all the stuff with the oil and protecting the Western Hemisphere from China, Russia, Iran, North Korea. I think it's called CRINC. China, Russia, Iran, North Korea. That's what they're called, CRINC. And what Trump has done is secure not only our border now, but it is securing the entire Western Hemisphere from foreign interference, which is causing a lot of problems in this country. You have so much just propaganda that's used. So many politicians are being bought off. They're starting to talk about the Venezuela list because now that they have Maduro, people are speculating. It's all speculation at this stage. We have to see what happens. But what we do know is that by weakening and taking out Maduro and taking control of that, it's not about oil in that we need oil. If you listen to Marco Rubio talk about it, he will explain it's not about America needing Venezuela's oil, but rather stopping Russia and China and Iran from dealing in our hemisphere, not only with oil, but with the drugs that have been coming into our country, and how many corrupt politicians have been paid off. So, Christy, we see sometimes these politicians come out and they start doing crazy things. The other day in Minnesota, in Minneapolis, when all the scandal was breaking out, there was that one woman, I forget what her position in government is, but she'd put the thing on her head and she's trying to, and so you see these people making sometimes complete fools of themselves. I think it's the mayor of Minneapolis that was trying to dance around, and you can see they're sort of mocking him, but these are people who are obviously getting paid. They're part of some kind of financial something. So this is part of the what is being exposed.
Yes.
But it's absolutely brilliant. And I just think of Dad, February 22nd, 2014, when he prophesied so much stuff, but he particularly prophesied about Trump. And he said, the plan is so brilliant, it could only have come from me, as in from God.
Yes.
And you start to see how he's using this administration to set a lot of things right. No matter the screaming and shouting and complaining and everybody's throwing their toys out of the cot and everybody's clutching their pearls, how could he, when there was a $25 million bounty that Biden put on Maduro's head, now all of a sudden they're marching for the dictator.
Yeah.
There's no like you see with the Palestinian protesters, nobody is out protesting or in support of the Iranian people. And these are real, actual dictators, while they turn and call Trump a dictator. And so I also heard a lot about leaking and things like that. That Trump was concerned about. So when they questioned him about, why didn't you ask Congress?
Well, he's afraid of it getting out.
Because of the way they did it. That was brilliant.
Yeah.
But he specifically said in the press conference that people leak, and that would have destroyed the whole thing.
Yeah.
And I've heard rumor of certain politicians trying to call Maduro and didn't get him in time. So these are American politicians. Numerous of them have visited Maduro, brought him to visit here in America. There is a very corrupt relationship there. And so that's why we see the reaction from certain politicians. And this is, it may more heavily be on the Democrat side because they're the ones leaning towards the socialism, communism, not leaning towards, they're basically, look at Mamdani. But, you can really see when people talk about Trump as playing chess, that you can really see how when he makes these moves, they are carefully thought out, and there is a long game.
Yeah.
Which is, it's sort of prophetic in itself, that you have to be looking forward to, okay, these actions, I'm not just going to be fulfilling the needs of whatever people are demanding of me in this moment, but seeing how can we in the long term fix some of these issues. Dad prophesied he would build the walls of protection around this nation, what he would do for the economy. And so we're starting to see those things. I've been saying it a lot in the midst of this, is we're in the middle of it. We're in the middle of it right now, but we have these prophecies.
We do.
And so he saw the youth rising up. He saw in South America, and he saw in the Middle East, and the new sound. Now, this is what I love, Christy, because, the last year I looked a lot at, in 2013, when my dad prophesied, when he was singing Your Word is Like a Fire. I can't remember the exact date of it. But he had the mantle around him. We've looked at that. There's various areas on that day as well that he prophesied very accurately. But on that day, he actually played what he was prophetically hearing as a new sound that would be a mix of Middle Eastern music and Israeli music with Western music. And he and Joel that day, they sat there, and Joel was playing kind of a Middle Eastern sounding tune on the keyboard, and Dad had Charlie doing like a Western sounding bass line, and then he filled in. And he was representing prophetically a new sound that would emerge from the youth that have risen up against these oppressive regimes.
Yes.
And again, it's Islam and communism.
Yes.
Islam and communism. The joining of those two, and when that happened in Iran, all the socialists, liberals that had been fighting with them were either jailed or killed, and some of them escaped.
Of course.
There's a very famous photograph that was in the news of two young girls right after the Islamic Revolution, celebrating. And both of those girls, one of them was beheaded and the other one escaped.
Sounds about
I
right.
don't know if she's in Europe or in Canada, but that's just one instance. And so we see the youth and the people of these nations rising up against this. But then here in the West, as you have the Trump administration and the Christian people, not all, but a lot of Christian people understand what's going on. Whether they've heard Dad's prophecies or not, Christians do see. And you see that divide in America. And so the more and more these kinds of things happen, things go crazy. And then when the dust settles,
Yes.
people can look. And especially when they start to see things getting better. I think that this will change the hearts of the people, as Dad said.
Yes.
Enough is enough. And God is going to intervene and change the hearts of the people. So it is very powerful what is happening right now. Because all those celebrities who endorsed Mamdani, also, if you go back, we're all shilling for Chavez.
Yes,
in Venezuela and socialism.
Yeah, of course.
And now they're all very quiet about that, but they have no problem endorsing Mamdani to do that very thing here in New York City.
Yes.
And unfortunately, I'm sad to say that New York City is probably going to have to learn their lesson the hard way.
I think so.
But I do believe that God, we think about the Biden years, I think God has allowed certain things so that people can wake up.
Yes, and God can also use anything to teach people,
Exactly, Christy. And so I know that scripturally you kind of have something to add.
Yeah,
if we go into the Word.
Well, I mean, you look at it, when people look at Venezuela, because your dad prophesied about that so many years ago now, it's resource-rich but impoverished. And that by itself shows what happens when socialism comes in. It destroys provision. And Psalm 33:12 says, "Blessed is the nation whose God is the Lord." And we can see this scripturally when God is removed, systems fail. When we look at Israel under Pharaoh, when we look at Judah under the corrupt kings, when we look at the Babylonian kingdom under Daniel's generation, we see this where God has removed things that seem successful always end up failing, but we also see how God always raises up youth voices when leadership becomes corrupt. We see that in scripture. We see that, Daniel and the lads, they were young Jewish men that were taken through in captivity to Babylon, and it was really through them standing up and rising up and being prepared to do the right thing and stand for righteousness that God was able to bring about a change. And so we're seeing this here in nations around the world, and your dad prophesied about so much of this, which is what I find so incredible. I mean, this date was what? April 14th, 2012. He's talking about a wicked leader the people of Venezuela being delivered from a wicked leader. We're now sitting here in 2026, and we just watched that happen in the first week, basically, of 2026, which is insane. But we really are, which is why we have to pray for America. Blessed is the nation whose God is the Lord. We're seeing a divide, like you said. We see a divide between those that are following God and those that aren't. And we see divides in the church. Those that understand and support Israel, and those like, Candace Owens would call herself somebody who's in the church, but she's doing more damage and more harm than, I think we can possibly comprehend. But we have hope in this because we know what God showed your dad all those years ago, and we look to prophecy as a source of hope. And I know there's another clip we want to play from March 9th of 2013, and this is also absolutely incredible. Your dad speaking about the raven and speaking about the Middle East, and there's so much scriptural parallel to this, but I don't want to take up more time there. So let's go to this clip now and listen to this prophecy of Kim's from March 9th, 2013.
Okay, listen to this. The raven does not give, but contrary to its nature, it gives to the mission of God. I believe that we are looking to the wrong places for our source. In America, we're battling all kind of fiscal stuff. What about the fiscal cliff and the fiscal whatever? What about, what's the thing that they call sequestration? What? Sequester. All these things have been spoken about. How are we going to solve our problems? And it came to me, remember I had the vision, which Chanel will share in a few minutes, about the python, about the frog, and how there is a python that is trying to suffocate the United States of America and many other nations globally. Listen to what I'm saying to you. This is a word to you that God has prepared a raven to feed, to provide, There is a resource that is way beyond our resources. Why is it that we trust in chariots and we trust in horses and we trust in our own strength and the strength of our armies and our weaponry? Listen to me. When David did that and he said, count the people, count how many soldiers I had, God was insulted. God is insulted when we say we rely upon our intelligence and our weapons and our armies and whatever, our defense systems. The resource we've looked to is not going to take America out of its $16 trillion or $17 trillion debt. It's already come to me. There is a raven that is going to feed you. What are you talking about? Contrary to its nature. The Middle East has laughed at this nation. The Middle East has said about this nation, they're going to be crippled financially, and we're seeing that happen. However, things are going to turn around because he said, I'm going to take the very nations that despise this nation and despise the free countries in the world, and I'm going to cause them to feed you like they fed Elijah. And I would take that as a message that we, every day of our lives, we look to what we earn or how we can do it by ourselves. Oh, you've heard this before, I know. But you just heard something bigger than that now. What is a raven, Kim? It is a beast that refuses to help and even steals from its own. I'll leave you to work that little one out. Okay? If you want it from my mouth, the terrorists and the radical Islam, that's what it is. And I'll tell you right now, you watch how God turns it around, because they're so pompous and proud and full of themselves. They got all the oil in the world. Well, guess what? A wicked leader just died, and I don't pray anything bad over him. A wicked leader just died in Venezuela. Was it Venezuela? Just died. And there was a word long before he died about how God would suddenly cause the young people all over Venezuela and all over South, Central America and the Hispanics, and just cause an eruption. And then in the Middle East as well. I want you to keep your eyes open. God is not finished with this marble, this globe yet. He's got something big planned. And guess what? I'm expecting it every day of my life. Somebody say yes.
Wow, that is really incredible.
Oh, yeah.
Really. And I forgot to mention from the first prophecy that we listened to, which was about a year before this one we just watched. So the one we watched first, he referred specifically to the beast of the East, and he also mentioned North Korea. And I wanted to make sure to remind everybody of that. The beast of the East, not just being, for instance, radical Islam in Iran, but the joining of that ideology with the communist ideology is the beast of the East. And so we are seeing that, and in this past week, we have seen that begin to be dismantled. There he directly refers to Venezuela. He refers directly to Chavez. Chavez had just died. So he's seeing, okay, Chavez has died. Now what has God shown him? What God was going to do in South America with the youth. And it isn't just Venezuela, it's more broadly South America. We've already started to see that. With Argentina and with Bukele and with all of them, that God is moving to fix a lot of these issues in these nations. And it really does take the people, though, to rise up and force this. And, they're very brave, very, very brave people who have lived in bondage for a long time.
Yeah.
In Iran, it's much longer. But I did want to touch on something where he's referring to the Middle East. Now, first of all, you notice just in order in here at the end, he speaks about Venezuela, and then he says, and then in the Middle East. So now what we're seeing just this week is Venezuela. They've taken Maduro out, and that's handled. The United States is in control of Venezuela until they can democratically elect. I know they've put the vice president there for now, but she's not going to stay there. They're going to probably have some kind of election and let the people choose what they want. And if you listen to Reza Pahlavi, the crown prince who is actually technically the king of Iran, he even is not going to be coming back to be the king again of Iran. If you listen to interviews with him, he's, first of all, has been for the first time able to instruct the Iranian people as they're going through. So he is leading. But when he comes in, he has expressed that what he wants to do is allow for elections and let the Iranian people choose what kind of government they want, and he can manage it. Because I think he also understands that, you can't really have kings anymore. That doesn't work. And so I was glad to see that out of him as well when I heard him interviewed. But even when my dad's talking about the ravens, it occurred to me, he says, contrary to the Middle East laughing us, and they've said of this nation, we're going to cripple you financially. We've watched them trying to do that first with BRICS and now with CRINC. And he said, things are going to turn around, and these nations would feed us the way they fed Elijah. So in the way a raven might do it. But immediately, as he was saying that, I started to think, he's referring to the tariffs. I think that when my dad was seeing that, I think he may have been seeing the tariffs, which has been a big thing that is taking care of a lot of debt. There is also new energy coming. We understand that was prophesied. But it's very interesting to me the analogy he used there of the raven, and how we've watched in the first year of Trump's second term now, the imposing of tariffs, getting us out of debt. And it wasn't even, it's basically just applying rules that people were not applying in a lot of instances to, okay, everybody has to pay their fair share. America's paying for everything. Why? And this has been in his argument, not just since his presidential runs and everything, but for decades Trump has been saying that, is that these other countries need to be paying their fair share. And so having him do that is helping to take care of our debt here in America. And so we're feeling very, very excited about what we are beginning to see. The prophecies, we're watching them unfold and be fulfilled, many of them in ways I did not expect.
Absolutely.
But I like this a lot better than what I expected.
Yeah.
To see the Iranian people have the courage to rise up has been incredible to watch. Yeah. To see the gratitude from Venezuelans the world over. And you know what? Soros and his people can send their protesters out with their pre-printed signs. They've all got the same signs across the world, wherever they're protesting against this. No war with Venezuela, some of these signs. There is no war with Venezuela. It took them 30 minutes to go in and take him out. And so you can see a lot of these protesters have really been put in check as well, because many Venezuelans have gone to the protests. And you'll find, even in Europe, the protesters may be Spanish-speaking, but none of them are Venezuelan. And so I've seen this a number of times now where Venezuelans have shown up to the protests and said, are anybody Venezuelan? And nobody's Venezuelan. And nobody is speaking for the Venezuelan people. But a good thing about Venezuelans is they have big mouths and they have no problem saying something. And that's something I've realized about them. And so bless them for setting the record straight on that and helping a lot of spoiled Westerners who have turned from God. So the God has become the government, and the protesting is all they really have to follow. It's actually very sad. A lot of these people need a return to God, and I think God is revealing himself in this season in a way he's never done before. And the beautiful thing is my dad prophesied that this would happen. Yeah, he did. So I don't know what you might want to add to that. I'm very excited.
I think what we're really seeing here is hope. That's the theme that I'm feeling for 2026. There's obviously been a number of really rough years, especially since COVID happened and, the whole earth kind of shut down. But as we step into a new year, we're also stepping into a new season. And around the world, people are crying out, enough is enough. And we see how God always responds to hunger from his people with change and renewal. Isaiah 43, 18 and 19 says, do you not see that God is doing a new thing? We know this. And new seasons often do begin with pressure, shaking, and transition. It sounds very exciting, but there's a practical element to a lot of this, and sometimes it's difficult. But what we're seeing in these various nations is not abandonment, it's birthing. And for any of you ladies out there who've given birth, I had personally had a C-section because of how ill I was, but it's not a particularly pretty thing that you go through. There's a lot of pain involved. And so we see, pressure, we see all these varying things when it comes to birthing, but we see this, and Kim prophesied, a new sound, new music and joy, unexpected provision. We just listened to him speaking about the raven. And God provides in the wilderness, not after it ends, because provision follows obedience, not stability. And that's something for us all to hold on to. Deuteronomy 8:18, God says that he alone gives the power to produce wealth. And he gives wealth in order to see his covenant established. And what prosperity is supposed to be is not excess. It's supposed to be assignment-based provision, which means God gives to us so that we can give to others. There's an assignment of provision that is given to each of us. And God did warn us not to trust systems, weapons, or fear, but something for all of us. Today's the 7th of January. It's been 1 week in. Giving at the start of a new year is an alignment decision. What are you aligned with this year? What are you aligning yourself with? It says to God and to everybody else that God is our source in this season. And so I just want to encourage you today to click on the red link below your player and to give. You can text your offering in, you can call it in, you can mail it in. There's so many different ways that you can give. But I'm encouraging you that your support does keep prophetic truth flowing while the world shakes. It's only because of you and your support that we're able to do this. And as we look back at these prophecies that Kim gave, and we're filled with hope and filled with faith, we know that this year is not going to be a year of survival, but a year of alignment. And so I'm encouraging you today to give into the alignment that God has for your destiny, for those of you, for the destiny and the future of your children, your grandchildren, and really the destiny and future of the nations. And we're trusting God for a year of alignment. So sow into alignment, sow into seeing God do everything that he's promised he will do, and let your heart be full of hope as that occurs. So give, and as we go into this next part talking about Iran and what we're seeing, about Venezuela not being isolated, and we're, Donna's been on this mission about this week, but the same prophetic cry is rising from Iran. And I know that Kim saw this over a decade ago, so I'm just going to go ahead and say, as we go to this next clip now, this prophecy clip from April 13th of 2012, let your heart be stirred and give as you're watching, give as the prophetic rings out, and give into the alignment of this year. Let's go to that prophecy now.
No, I have not walked away from those that have been crippled and wounded in Syria and Iran. There are some that cry out to me, young people that have said, it is enough. I will raise up some of the greatest prophets from the soil and the dust and the ashes of Syria, that will come to Israel and say, we love you. We bless you. This shall not be an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. But they shall say, we shall follow the instructions and the commands of Jesus. Forgive. Love one another. A band of young people from Syria, Iran, Afghanistan shall defy the beast of the East. They shall defy Islam. They shall say, we will not be bashed down to a God that is dead. Young people by the hundreds of thousands shall flock, and they shall gather together, and they shall call out to him.
That is beautiful, and that is what we are seeing happen. It's beginning.
Yes.
It is beginning to happen. He prophesied a lot about Iran. We actually have a number of Iran prophecies. But really today we just need to hit the point. We're going to be sharing all of this stuff with you in the coming weeks as we see things happen. We're going to be sharing more and more prophecies. But you know what I found out, Christy? Of the 70,000 mosques in Iran, 50,000 have closed down.
Sure.
And the conversions to Christianity is quite shocking when you go and look. Many of them, they are rejecting Islam. Many of them are going back to Zoroastrianism, which is very old religion. But that was the ancient Persian state. It was a monotheistic religion, though. It was one of the only monotheistic religions before Islam and everything came on. So it wasn't a bunch of deities and weird things like they had going on in Greece and Rome. Like, they understood there was one God. And so I find that interesting. But also, you know, he's referring to places that are ancient. And I mean, everywhere on the earth is the same age. But the civilizations there are ancient. The Assyrians and the Persians, I mean, they're in the Bible a lot. But historically, I mean, we know how ancient those places are. And they've gone through a lot over the millennia. And we look at these nations now today and see the remnant that are left that have been so bound and imprisoned. And so when they burst out the way that they are beginning to, we're seeing it in Iran, obviously we see the celebrations of Venezuelans, but Venezuelans are not Muslims. The impact of Islam, and literally they are bound by law. And the people that are beginning to just explode out of it, that's why I've been watching it so closely. It's not only because of what Dad prophesied, because it actually gets me so emotional to think that in my lifetime, for my whole life, they have lived that way. Christy, I watched old ladies, old Iranian ladies with walkers marching out there with the people. And that is brave.
Yes.
Because the IRGC is no joke, and they don't. You're not allowed to protest. There's no free speech there. If you're a woman and you take your hijab off, or whatever they call it there, I don't know, they call it burqas and hijabs. I can't even keep up with what they'll kill you.
Yeah, they'll kill you.
Jail you.
Yep.
People. I mean, they've jailed a lot of people this past week.
Yeah.
But they do not have the strength that they had. Why? Because of what Israel did with the United States of America last year.
Yes.
And that my dad prophesied again and again, but very specifically February 22nd, 2014, he referred, when he's prophesying about Trump and everything, he said, watch what God does with Israel and the United States of America at the same time. And if this is successful in Iran, it is going to solve so many problems all over the world. Now, Trump taking Maduro out of Venezuela means the Ayatollah and the mullahs that want to escape cannot go to Venezuela, which is where they would have gone, to escape. So where they are going now is to Syria. I mean, sorry, not to Syria, to Moscow. But the other one who is in Moscow already, now, look, the Ayatollah, he hasn't gone yet, but this is what people are saying. He's probably going to end up going to Moscow. Now, that's the Ayatollah. Now, Assad of Syria is in Moscow now. And it makes me think, Christy, and I'm just thinking of this now, of my dad prophesying how Russia would join hands with Iran and Syria. And I always thought it would be something about armies. But I'm beginning to rethink even that prophecy, because if Assad of Syria is in Moscow, if the Ayatollah ends up there as well, that makes that prophecy incredible, but also it's sort of forcing our perspective to change a little bit on how we are expecting these prophecies to be fulfilled. And something that I've learned over the years now of covering all of these prophecies is that it often does not come to pass in the way we are expecting it to when we know what was prophesied before. For instance, we knew that Dad prophesied 2 terms for Donald Trump. We didn't know there was going to be a Biden term in the middle of it. We didn't know they were not going to be consecutive. So we were pushed into a place where we really had to have faith during those 4 years. And we can see how much damage was done, which God allowed that so that enough Americans and people in the West and people all over the world could see the difference. Because now it's back to back. You got a Biden, you got a Trump. And so it's very easy to tell the difference, and you can see the damage done and how it's being quickly fixed. And you know, the restoration of America is something that Dad prophesied about again and again and again. He prophesied about the restoration of America when he was prophesying about Esther. And something else that's so interesting that I've recently found out is that Esther's tomb, they know where it is, which I didn't know they knew where it was. And of course, it's in Iran, which is where it would be. Esther and Mordecai's tombs are there. And so when Dad was prophesying these things, you know, what the prophecies we've played today was that time period. He was going into Nashville, and that's when he prophesied the Esther and about all these other things surrounding it. And so this is where we start to bring prophecies together that we didn't think were connected before. Now we're beginning to understand how those puzzle pieces are fitting together. And it is weaving into a tapestry of a picture as Dad said that it would, with these prophecies and with the code breaking that we've been doing. And so, you know, I'm just full of hope. And, you know, you were speaking about alignment and this being the year of alignment. And really, I think that is right on. I think that we are, you know, the first year of Trump's presidency, he had to get back into the swing of things. He had to lay some foundational things. He's got a great team around him. We've got Marco Rubio, who is just awesome. I mean, I really have been so surprised, pleasantly surprised by Marco Rubio. And, you know, he's just the right guy for the job, and he's doing multiple jobs. I don't know if you see the memes, Christy, on social media of him. There's a picture of him sitting in a chair, and he kind of looks overwhelmed in the Oval Office. And they keep using that picture for a meme for all the different jobs that he's going to do. And I most recently saw how he's going to have to run Venezuela. And he's in the chair like, but you see him successfully doing this. And so when it comes time for the next president, I'm quite keen on Marco Rubio, I have to admit. He's my favorite over J.D. Vance at this
I couldn't agree more.
Because he understands Israel.
Yes, that's the big key right there.
He defends Israel. He knows what's going on, and he's not afraid to say it. And then being a Cuban, he understands communism. And he's a Christian. And I just recently played on one of our on the Codebreakers live broadcast, his speech at Charlie Kirk's memorial, where he tells the story of Christ correctly, as a born-again Christian would. And I was so touched by that, because I feel that we have the right, you know, people can criticize Trump all they want. We need a Trump right now. Nobody else could do this. Nobody else could pull us out of this. God has put Trump there, but the team around him is very important as well. And so we need to just keep praying for them, for their protection and for God to guide them. But let me tell you something, I am feeling very hopeful at the beginning of this year. I wasn't feeling this at the end of the year.
But now?
But the minute that I heard Iran and what was happening, I had a couple of days off, which I don't usually have. Those Mondays and Tuesdays are busy days for me. But I had them off because we had that week off. And it started to happen on the Sunday night, I think it was. And for days, I sat there watching Iran, and I could just hear the echo of my father's prophecies. And I started to see, and next thing, they've gone and they've got Maduro. And so we are very excited and hopeful here at the House of Destiny
Yes, we are.
Network. And we want to encourage everybody watching right now. I know it's been rough, but we have these prophecies, and we have seen them fulfilled time and again. The things you think, oh, I don't know what he meant there, or we'll have to, all of those things are beginning to come together, and it is absolutely amazing how God has done this. And the credit does ultimately go to God.
Yes.
Because there's no, like you said earlier, my dad didn't know these things.
No.
When he was in Paris prophesying the Short War and the Fourth Reich, and he said, as you did in the 7th century, he didn't know what happened in the 7th, this was the Crusades, but he didn't know what happened in the 7th century. He came off of that platform, said to my mother, what happened in the 7th century? So we know he wasn't calculating, and he isn't just really good at guessing. And, you know, there's no way to fake that. Because it's so far in advance of when everything changed in the world. My dad was taken out right before everything changed.
It's also too many
everything
occurrences.
Everything is prophesied.
It's too many occurrences for it to be coincidental. It's impossible.
It could not be.
No.
So I'm saying all of that to encourage everybody here that hearing what my dad has prophesied should give you a lot of hope.
Yes.
And should really fill your faith and fatten your soul today. Because we are watching these things, and I know you're going to hear everybody shouting all their objections. And whatever the reasons different people have, God is allowing things and exposing things. And it's for a purpose. It's not just because people have sinned and they must pay for it. That's not what this is. It's not just that. It's that the effect that it's had on millions and millions of people who have suffered and suffered, and not only in places like Iran and Venezuela, but in America, that God is not allowing it anymore. And so I know we see Mamdani in New York, and I say of that, just wait. Because I just heard his, housing person, this woman he's got for housing, talking about how we're going to change our idea of owning property. And it's how it's really going to affect white people. And this is coming from a white woman. And you look at her and you think, this person is completely lost. But what you see time and time again with these people is that they have replaced God with government. And they're playing God. And so we have to, in some of these cases where we can't do anything, we pray. And make sure we vote. Because I know there's New York, we just keep praying for New York. But God's not going to just allow that to happen. And we have seen from the prophecies and how they've been fulfilled and what we are seeing occurred that we can trust God. And that's the message that I want to tell everybody today. And so Christy and I are actually going to be talking more about some of this stuff.
Yes.
And we're going to do that in the partner segment.
Yes.
So if you are not a partner, the information is on the screen right now for you to become one, and it's not expensive. And when you partner with us, you are helping us not only to digitize all of the footage, because that's the main thing about our partnership is we had all this footage that we needed digitized in different formats. And so we have asked people to partner with us to help us do that so we can extract more and more of this footage that we have on different kinds of tapes and things that it takes a lot. It's not just a DVD or a VHS that we have to digitize. Some of them are big TBN tapes and things like that. And so those who have partnered with us, especially over the past year, have seen how Prophetic Rewind, we've been able to just in date order start playing from the oldest one we had. And it is amazing how those old Prophetic Rewind meetings that we play every Monday often are connected prophetically, because we're not planning it, to prophecies we're looking at in the moment and things. So we've had a really incredible time this past year building our partnership up and really making it nice for those who partner with us. We have an upgraded prophecy database. So we have the original prophecy database as it's been since they started the website, where you can do keyword searches and search and look at transcripts. Well, we've upgraded that in the partnership program to make that flow a little easier. And on top of that, Christy and I, sometimes we have to have a conversation we can't have on just social media. And so when that happens, we have those conversations in our partner section. So we're going to go in there right now. And if you're already a partner, you can just log in. It's already there for you. You can go ahead and continue this conversation with us. If you are not a partner, I encourage you to join us today. Like I said, it's $7 or more a month. It's not too much money. And it's worth it. My dad's teaching on the School of the Prophets is in there as part of your partnership. You can go through the entire school with him, where he teaches you not only from the Bible about the prophetic, but he's giving a perspective from someone who is the real deal. And 10 years, this year will be 10 years since my father died. 10 years later, we are still watching prophecy be fulfilled, and that is a miracle in itself. That is amazing. And so thank you, everybody, for joining us today. Thank you, Christy. And we're going to go over to the partner section. And to everybody who's not a partner, we have to say goodbye now. But thank you so much for joining us. Don't miss anything that is happening at the House of Destiny Network this week. We have something every day of the week. And so don't miss it. And we will see you next time on Analysis. Hello, friends. I'm Donna Clement Petrushka, and I am honored to invite you to something truly extraordinary, the Kim Clement Prophecy Vault. Now you can gain unprecedented access to my father's entire digitized video archive. Every prophetic moment, every powerful teaching, every anointed worship session is now available to you in the Prophecy Vault. Plus, I'm excited to share that my dad's special School of the Prophets teachings are included, offering you deep, transformative lessons on hearing God's voice and understanding his revelations. Your partnership is crucial. Not only will you gain access to these incredible resources, but you'll also help us continue the vital work of preserving, digitizing, and adding new Kim Clement material to the archives. I'm inviting you to step into the Kim Clement Prophecy Vault. Let's embark on this journey of revelation together, and I can't wait to see you inside. We have Andrew Sorcini from Beverly Hills Precious Metals with us today. If someone has a 401k, can they take some of that and purchase gold as an investment for their future?
They can, and it's a great way to do it, because if you have an IRA, a government TSP account, a 401k from a company that you used to work at but don't work at anymore, or if you still work at the company and you're over 59 and a half, these can be rolled over into a precious metals IRA. And if you were to speak to your financial advisor about it, they'll tell you, oh, this is a taxable event. They'll tell you things like gold and silver are volatile. But really, the thing is, they don't want you to get into precious metals because it doesn't benefit them monetarily. I'm here to tell you that your accounts can be rolled into a precious metals IRA without it being a taxable event. You would own real gold and silver that is stored in a third-party depository that's insured in a lockbox with your name on it.
So if someone goes to bh-pm.com, is that the correct website? Okay, and that's going to be on the bottom of the screen. If they go there today, what do they need to do?
Okay, so there's an online form there, and the form, almost every page on the website has the online form. So you just fill in your first name, last name, email address, telephone number, say that Kim Clement sent you, or the House of Destiny. We'll know what you mean. And in the notes section, be as detailed as you can. Sometimes people put things in there like, I'm a complete novice. I really don't understand precious metals. I've been wanting to understand. I want to invest, but really I need more information first. Then put that in there. If you're someone that's been investing in gold and silver for years and really don't need a consultation, you just want to check prices, then put that in there.
Everybody watching, if you are interested in precious metals, this is where you want to go. Thanks again.
Thank you.